And Eric Trump is good enough to join us now. And obviously, Eric, there is a lot to discuss from last night in addition to your speech. But I do want to ask you, I want to ask you personally, can't imagine what it must be like to step to a microphone to discuss your father as an official presidential candidate. But what was the experience like for you?
Yeah, it's surreal. I mean, it's surreal. I'm not a politician. It's not what I do. And to get up there and kind of speak from the heart about a man I love immensely and, I'm proud of. I mean, here's a guy who entered politics 12, 13 months ago, and he's a Republican nominee as of yesterday or the day before. And so to be here means the world to our family. We've worked so hard at this thing. But it was an amazing day. You see the energy in this room. This room was going crazy. The Trump signs all over the place. The Make America Great. Everybody was chanting, throw her in jail. I mean, it was just the room was pandemonium. It was fun. It was spirited. It was great. And I think this is one of the most fun conventions that the Republicans have ever had. I mean, people are just loving what we have here.
I know you spoke actually earlier with my colleague Bob Schieffer, who's covered 24 of these. He has said really repeatedly this week it has been unlike a convention that he has ever seen in his illustrious career. And that included what we saw last night. In fact, what happened just prior to your speech last night. We saw Texas Senator Ted Cruz step to that microphone, deliver a speech, and refuse to endorse your father. And when it became aware to this hall that he was not going to do that and uttered those three words, vote your conscience, he was summarily booed off the stage. I know you were right in the wings. What did you make of what transpired there?
Well, I was right behind the screen. I was about to come out to give my my speech, and it was amazing. Halfway through his speech, you start chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. I mean, as loud as you can imagine. Here you have 22,000 people in an auditorium. They're chanting Trump, and they wanted that buildup, and they thought that he was going to give them that buildup, and he ultimately never did, and literally he got booed off the stage. So I think I let the 22,000 voices in here speak, and they certainly kind of got him out of here, very quickly. I can tell you he didn't make a lot of friends last night, but I don't think it makes a difference for us one way or another.
You don't.
We had an amazing night. I think my speech was a home run. I think Pence was a home run. I think Newt was a home run. I mean, we really had some amazing speakers, and I don't think he made too many friends here. I said it before. I've always heard that he never had too many friends in Washington, D.C., and I can tell you he didn't have too many friends in this arena last night.
So you seem to agree with a lot of people who've said this was a political miscalculation on his part.
There's honor in things, right? I mean, he signed a pledge. My father signed a pledge. You support the person, right? So if he puts his name on a sheet of paper and he doesn't support, what does that say about his character, right? I think that makes you question his character. And I don't think it makes a difference to us one way or another. We knew his speech ahead of time. We were going to have him speak irrespective. But if you put your name down on a piece of paper, you honor that pledge. Or at least that's what honorable people do.
So your father actually last night tweeted that he'd seen the speech a couple hours in advance. And allowed Ted Cruz to speak anyway. Ted Cruz, earlier today at a breakfast with the Texas delegation, did confirm that he spoke to your father 3 days ago and said, I will not be endorsing you. So what went into the decision on the part of the campaign to allow Ted Cruz to speak?
Yeah, and I don't know if that conversation actually happened, to tell you the truth. He might have said that. I'm not sure if that conversation ever happened. But again, who knows? I don't know what these people think. Politics is outside of my world, other than obviously being front seat to this whole thing. It's the lack of loyalty in politics, it's interesting. But at the same time, I understand it. He got beat, very, very badly in the primary, and he put his heart and soul into it, and we did as well, and all the other candidates did as well. And listen, you spend your whole life preparing for a moment, and then you don't come out victorious. And we beat him by a lot of delegates, as you know. And I think it takes time for those wounds to heal. And it's listen, I'd probably be pretty upset too. I'm not sure if I'd come out and endorse after spending all that time, effort, money, and everything else running campaign. It's a very, very tough thing, but I don't think he did it with great class last night. I mean, I think it lacked a lot of class. What happened? You can come out and you can kind of mix that message a little bit. Listen, everybody here doesn't want Hillary Clinton to become president for all the reasons that we know, because of the lack of trust, because of the lack of a lot of things. So there's a great man in this room who will do a great job for this country. So there's a way to bridge that gap somehow if you wanted to, but I just I don't think he handled it the right way, and obviously there's 22,000 people in this audience who don't think he handled it the right way.
His delegation itself today seemed upset. There were members who were saying, look, we're not asking you to support Donald Trump, but we are asking you to support the GOP. And it was specific to the pledge. He restated something he stated on his way out of this race when he left it some months ago, that That pledge became null and void the day that your father made it personal, suggesting that his father perhaps had something to do with JFK's assassination. He revisited the retweet that had your stepmother next to Heidi Cruz, and again spoke to the personal nature of this. Is this just a nasty personal feud that is playing out against this landscape?
I think it's an easy cop-out. There's plenty of personal things that he directed our way. That's how primaries go, right? I mean, primaries are personal. If you look at the things that were said between Bernie and Hillary, there was plenty of personal stuff that went back and forth there, too. Maybe not to the same level as on this side, but listen, your feelings get hurt. Mm-hmm. And I understand. I can tell you there were a lot of people who were unhappy, in that Texas delegation that he didn't come out in full support last night. Because it's actually amazing. They talk about party unity. The Republican Party has come together in a massive way. And you see that in this hall. I mean, you see the energy reporting on it, every day better even than I do. I mean, the amount of enthusiasm in here is incredible. I mean, the party is together and we're marching in the right direction. And so I think we've made a lot of strides in the last 2 or 3 months, and it seems like he was the only person that was out of that lockstep.
And yet we are missing the last 2 Republican presidents, the last 2 Republican presidential nominees, the sitting governor of the state of Ohio and John Kasich, many rising GOP hopefuls. When you speak then to a united GOP party, can that be true with so many establishment figures who have not been here?
Josh, because they were people who were on that stage, right? So you have Jeb Bush. Right, I mean, Jeb raised $200 million, and he didn't make it past the 4th state. I think he fell out right after Nevada, I believe it was. He spent $200 million in 4 states. He never won any of the states. He got 3% of the total vote. He fell out. If you look at, Kasich, Kasich stayed until the very end. He won 1 state, and that was his own home state, and he only won it by, 1.5 percentage points or whatever it is. Again, there are wounds, and that's hard to sometimes reconcile. And if I was Jeb and if I spent $200 million and didn't make it to 4 states, or if I was Kasich who won 1 state, which was his home state, and just barely, again, I would probably have a tough time showing up. I actually see it from their side. I don't think a lot of people look at it that way, but I kind of do see it from their side. That doesn't mean the rest of the Republican Party, which is a massive party, isn't united, including other people, by the way, who were on that stage, including Newt and Ben Carson and so many others who have been some of our greatest friends and supporters and people who are just absolutely amazing in so many regards.
A lot of those names were thought to be on the short lists for the vice presidential pick. You mentioned the pick himself, Mike Pence, Indiana governor, in his speech last night. Your own father paid at least lip service to the idea of party unity when he made the selection. Absolutely. And in his first meeting on this stage in this moment, how do you think he did?
He did an amazing job. I mean, the governor did an absolutely incredible job. And I've gotten to know him over the last couple of weeks, and I've gotten to know his wife. And when I say they are truly quality people, they are amazing people. His wife cooked us breakfast one morning, and she's just a wonderful person. He's a wonderful person. He's a great family man. He's done a great job. I've always said my father wasn't going to pick the person who was going to carry a state, right? And if we needed to carry a certain swing state, you probably actually wouldn't have picked Pence, right? He wanted to pick somebody who was immensely capable. If you look at the economic track record of Indiana, it's amazing, right? They have a $2 billion surplus. I mean, when was the last time we have a surplus anywhere in our federal government? He has a $200 billion surplus. He's cut taxes every single year that he's been in government. He's put more money into infrastructure and education than any governor in the country. He's got one of the lowest unemployments. His unemployment went from almost 9% when he started down to about 4% now. It's incredible. I mean, he has done a truly, truly incredible job. And these are the exact themes that my father has hit his entire campaign since the day he got in. He's been talking about education and infrastructure, and military, and having, knocking down our national debt, which is, over $19 trillion at this point and going up very quickly. And Pence has done all those things. And so in a certain way, I mean, he was the perfect fit. And aside from that, he's a quality human being. I mean, he's a truly, truly great guy.
Nods to policy, as you just mentioned there, and perhaps Pence's conservative credentials did not hurt as well. Meanwhile, another aspect of this campaign has been a look to humanize your father, show him as a husband and a dad and what he might be like away from the Klieg lights and the microphones. You've seen one of your brothers do that, your sister Tiffany. We'll give Barron a pass for now. But now looking ahead to tonight, Ivanka will be introducing your father, and then he is stepping to the mic. He has promised a long speech, an hour perhaps or more. What are you looking then from your sister and then from your father before the balloons currently nestled above us fall?
A lot of balloons up there, by the way.
Fair to say.
I think we each have really unique perspectives, right? And I think male children have different perspective than female children, and I think Ivanka has amazing grace and poise and elegance. She's just amazing in all regards. And I think she'll bring really that daughter approach to a father. Actually, Tiffany did an amazing job with that. But Ivanka's worked as an executive in the company with Don and I every single day for the last 10 years. She really, she knows the man not only as a father, but also, being in the business with us. And so I think she's going to bring a great approach, and she speaks so eloquently about him. And, we each have kind of our own little, path when we speak about the man. I think you heard me last night, all, the qualities that I think are so great. He's my best friend in the world. I love him to death. He's an amazing man. He's an amazing leader. He would do a great job for this nation. He really, really cares. He doesn't need to be doing this. He really cares. And I think you'll hear many of the things from Ivanka, as well as I think you'll hear a lot of stuff about how he's empowered her as a female and entrusted her and in so many different ways. And I think she's an amazing speaker, and I think she's going to be incredibly eloquent.
We haven't seen your stepmother, Melania. Obviously, she's been embroiled in a controversy regarding accusations of plagiarism regarding her speech that she delivered on the first night. From a personal perspective, within the family, how is she doing? And do you feel as though, with the revelations yesterday, that Meredith McIver, longtime employee of the organization, came forward and said, "This one was on me"? Do you think the page has been turned now?
Yeah, listen, I do. And by the way, I give her immense credit, right? I mean, she speaks 5 languages. English was not her first language. To get out on that stage, as daunting of a stage as it is, right in front of 20, 25 million people around the world, not to mention an auditorium of 22,000 people, and deliver a amazing speech, on your feet the way she did with just with the elegance that she did and the backbone that she did. I mean, she was incredible. She did her job. She did an amazing job, and honestly, I'm immensely proud of her. I mean, she held up her end of the deal, and she did a great job. And she was maybe let down on the other end, and I kind of feel bad. Now, she's talking about her children. I think it was kind of a silly thing to begin with, right? She's talking about her children, and I think people can express the same lines about, their children and their love for their children the same way. But, she did a wonderful job, and honestly, she made our family proud. She made our family very, very proud.
I'm going to get you out of here on this one then, and then it will all come to one. And for a man who has referred at times to his television ratings like other politicians might have referred to their poll numbers, certainly your father is somebody who understands the moment and understands the spectacle that girds it. He has set, arguably, the bar almost impossibly high for himself tonight. But is it possible, beyond the spectacle and beyond what tens of millions will certainly be tuning in to see, is it possible for your father to connect in new ways tonight with folks who may be watching and still undecided as to how they might cast their vote come November?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, I mean, we've just lived one of the kind of six or 8 weeks that will be, I think, very indicative of the future of our nation. You've seen so many things happen, and really of the world. I mean, we're in perilous times right now. You see what's happening overseas. You see what's happening in our own country. You see the race relations and the breakdown there. You see our foreign policy breakdown overseas. You see the rise of ISIS and how they're attacking every country around the world, including our own. I mean, you see the amount of problems we have. You see an education system that's ranked 30th in the world. You see a depleted military. You see the scandals at the VA. You see the scandals at the Clinton Foundation. You see the email scandals. I mean, the amount of problems that we have in the world, the amount of problems that this country has, the economic, I mentioned $19 trillion worth of debt, the immigration problems. I mean, so many other things, Syrian refugees. I could keep going on and on. We've got some real problems. And, my father has been very, very direct about the issues of this country. So direct sometimes that he actually gets criticized for being too direct, as crazy as that is, because he's running for commander-in-chief. At the same time, he's got tremendous optimism and hope for this country. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see an outline of so many of the problems that we have. But I think you're also going to see a great roadmap on how he's going to fix them and how he's the right person to fix them and why he's the right leader to take this country forward, and quite frankly, how we have to get past the broken, crooked political system that we see in Washington, D.C. that's just endemic in our society.
You're looking forward to it tonight?
I am. It's going to be a good time.
Thanks for joining us, Eric. Really appreciate it.
Josh, thank you. It's great being with you.